More on this, I want to turn to Congresswoman Lisa McClain. She represents Michigan's 9th Congressional District, and she's a member of the House Oversight Committee and joins us now. Congresswoman, good to have you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yet another frustrating hearing on Capitol Hill after these shocking allegations that the Biden administration was actively hurting Trump supporters.
Yeah, I mean, this is just another example of unelected bureaucrats playing partisan politics. This pattern of discrimination, as you heard Representative Jordan lay out, is absolutely real, and it absolutely happens. From censoring conservatives, weaponizing the DOJ, a biased media, it's patterns over and over and over again. But what I thought was very ironic, she was absolutely positive that this was not systemic, right? She probably said that 35 times in the hearing. She knew that to be fact. Now, let's forget about the facts that another whistleblower came out today. But she didn't know, and she couldn't answer, was she fired? Did she get a severance package? Don't know that. Who her supervisor was? Gee, I don't know that. Can you give me a hierarchical structure? Gee, I don't know that. Do you know if anything happened to anybody else between you and her along this hierarchy? Gee, I don't know that. She didn't know anything, but she was absolutely certain that this was not systemic. Well, I'm going to share with you, I think maybe the next person that needs to be relieved of their responsibility, since she doesn't know much, is maybe the administrator herself. It's just got to stop.
Yeah, it sure does. And I don't know how you can say that it's not a systemic issue and then simultaneously we have an open investigation into this right now. It's either one or the other. Either you've concluded the investigation and you know you don't have a more further reaching issue, or the investigation's open and you don't actually have the answer yet.
Right. Which, to your point, you either have the answer or you don't have the answer, or maybe there's a third answer, and that's I just need to get the facts to fit my story, which is exactly what she was trying to do. But again, I think the oversight hearing just showed the bias, the discrimination, the partisan politics that these unelected bureaucrats have. And that is, we got to clean house on that. We just have to either fix the problem, and the only way to fix the problem is have consequences to their actions.
For sure.
And there's not many.
So the fall woman for this is someone called Marnie Washington. She's the one everyone's blaming and saying it was just her. She was freelancing. There's only a couple of people who even worked for her, and it was to contain to that little unit where she suggested that they don't go to the homes of Trump supporters. They're very dangerous. Don't knock on their door. But Marnie Washington's been doing television interviews, and during those interviews, she's been saying, actually, no, this is system-wide, and leadership, if you ask them about it, will lie to you. How did Administrator Criswell respond to that, those interviews?
With a pat answer, I don't believe it. I'm not aware of it. It's under investigation. And what I'm sharing is, if this is your operation and this happens under your watch and you have no idea what's going on, maybe you're the problem, right? What I'd like to see for once is somebody from one of these three-letter agencies get up there and say, you know what? We failed. We screwed up. We made a mistake. We've got to do better. Instead, it's, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Well, if you're in charge, you have a layer of management underneath you that should have an idea. So if they don't have an idea, the management needs to be replaced. If they do have an idea and they're not bringing it to you, they should be replaced. But if you don't have any clue on what's going on in your organization, then you as the leader need to be replaced. And I think if we started cutting some people at the top, right, the people who are in charge, maybe that would get some people's attention. That's my hope with what's going to happen with this current the upcoming administration.
Yeah. There's way too much of that going on in government. It's always junior and people who become junior people who get who face the consequences of not towing
Right.
the regime's
Right.
line.
I mean,
But the senior people never get held accountable for gross violations of their responsibilities
right.
to the public.
Think of it this way: you're the head football coach, right? And you go 0-13. But hey, don't fire me. Fire my offensive line person because it's really their fault. It's not my fault. Of course, it's your fault. You're the coach. You're in charge. You went 0-13. But what these directors and what these people at these three-letter agencies do is they blame it on the offensive line and say, oh, it was their fault, and
Right.
then wash their hands of any responsibility. That's the protocol that needs to change.
Well, maybe that's why we have another whistleblower coming out. As you pointed out, James Comer indicated yesterday that a whistleblower has alerted him to the fact that at least one FEMA contractor had gone to the home of an elderly veteran couple and recommended to them that they remove their Trump signs in order to get FEMA assistance, and apparently had said directly to them that the agency considers Trump supporters to be, quote, domestic terrorists. So perhaps the attention on this could lead to more of the people that you're talking about, the offensive linemen who are out there actually doing the work, coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, we've got some real systemic problems here.
Right. So from the agency that was doggone certain that this was not a systemic problem, we have one more whistleblower come forth. And what I think is even more interesting and more disturbing and more just repulsive, to be quite honest
Yes.
with you, is FEMA has not returned to that residence.
That's right.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, it is sad.
Isn't
And
that
that
sad?
poor couple, the couple apparently had removed all the signage because they were desperate for FEMA's help, and FEMA still didn't come back.
Right. I mean, think about that. You've lost everything, right? You've lost all of your memories, your food, your shelter where you've lived. And FEMA doesn't show up because some unelected, and I keep saying that, some unelected, unaccountable bureaucrat decides, you know what? If you're a conservative and you like Trump, we're going to punish you. That sounds like a third world country to me. That doesn't sound like the American I know.
No, not at all. Okay, let me talk a little bit. We're talking with Congresswoman Lisa McClain, and something that's important that everyone should know about is that Congresswoman McClain is now one of the highest-ranking members of the House, having just been elected House GOP conference chair, replacing outgoing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. First of all, congratulations to you on that. And secondly, Congresswoman, just sort of describe what that means for you, for the Congress, and for the public.
Well, thank you. What it means for the conference and what the role of the conference chair is one, to listen to the members and to help communicate President Trump and the Republicans' agenda, the House agenda, to all of our majority of Republicans here in the House. That's the job, right? I want to be able to highlight members to make sure that we take the issues that are important to the Americans, right? 76 million Americans told us what they wanted. They wanted lower taxes. They wanted a stronger economy. They wanted a secure border. They wanted strength on the world stage. How do we now highlight them in their respective districts to make sure that we continue to not only keep the majority, but grow the majority and to execute President Trump's agenda? You do that by listening and engaging, and I am so excited to get to work. I am just thrilled beyond belief.
Can I say something? I also want to point something out. I don't think a lot of people are detecting this, or at least saying it in the political analysis, but the mandate for Republicans is bigger than the election results even reveal. And the reason I say that is because remember how Kamala Harris closed out the campaign? What issues was she running on? She said, we need a wall. We need fracking. We need to bring down costs. She ran on Trump's agenda. So no matter who you voted for in this election, you voted for the Trump mandate, didn't you, Congresswoman?
But the only difference is Trump is the one that has executed and implemented and will. And she's the only talked about it. Because she even knew, to your point, that those were the issues that were important to everyday Americans.
Yeah. No, well, she was lying about it, but still, voters were misled by those lies. But yeah, there you go. So it's a big job, and we look forward to watching you do it. Congresswoman Lisa McClain, please don't be a stranger. Glad to have you with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so so much for having me.
Of
Have a
course.
great day.
You too. That's Congresswoman Lisa McClain, and now rising to House Republican Conference Chair. And that makes her the highest ranking Republican woman, Politico declared this past week. So there you go. That's the distinction.